Welcome back, everyone, to our Groundskeeper chat series. I'm your host, Meg Kruger, and we are joined by definitely a familiar face to not only this channel, but the industry. So I feel like introducing her is a silly thing to do because you know the face well by now. But I'll give Leah the opportunity to introduce herself, and then we're going to be talking about branding yourself as a groundskeeper. A working title, whether it's how to brand yourself as a groundskeeper, or maybe we'll hear from Leah's perspective on why you should stay away from branding yourself. But I'm sure that's not the case. But Leah, I'll let you take it away. Go ahead and introduce yourself and then we'll get started.
I'm Leah Withrow. I'm the head groundskeeper for the Reno Aces, AAA affiliate for the Diamondbacks. It'll be my second year as head groundskeeper there and my sixth season total there. So I am really excited to start year 6.
Definitely. And I appreciate you doing this with us. As much as I've kept up with, your social media activity and we've met in person before, I don't know if I've actually ever heard like your origin story with turf, in the sense that, how did this become on your radar, and, where were you getting information about the industry before you were a member of it?
It was hard to find, honestly. It was all like happenstance and coincidence. I was touring North Dakota State for engineering, actually, and I was looking at like their majors list of all the things that they offered for degrees, and sports turf management was one of them. And I was like, well, that's cool. Like, I like sports and I like to be outside. I'm like, you met with like 2 departments, and my plan was to only meet with engineering. And I was like, well, I got an extra time slot to fill. Let's just go see what this guy has to say. And he ended up being my advisor all 4 years there. Super nice guy, just kind of told me like a brief intro, like all the different ways you could go with this degree. It's parks and rec, it's golf course, it's sports, it's horticulture just in general. So I was like, that's kind of interesting. I was always good at biology, science, that kind of stuff. I was like, maybe. And then I took calculus senior year of high school, and I was like, yeah, engineering might not be my thing anymore.
Oh, Lord.
So I was like, well, maybe sports turf might be my thing. And it was honestly just happenstance that I was looking at that majors list and needed to fill an extra 20 minutes on my tour.
Yep. I love that. Calculus is becoming like it, or it has been for decades, the deciding factor. Like that freshman year in college, I can remember all the people I met that were engineering majors. And then after taking calculus twice, they're like, okay, I think I maybe need to switch gears.
Yeah, I was always good at math, but that was anti-math. I'm like, this does not make any sense anymore. And thankfully, the math is pretty simple in the sports turf world.
Yeah. And I love that, somebody, at the university was like an advocate for this program in a sense. And, what difference it could make if we could have like counselors on the high school level, just aware of what this profession is, and, talking to kids who maybe are considering not going to a 4-year program or want to work right out of college. If they were, well versed in this career, how much of a difference that could make.
It would be huge. I mean, guys like Drew Miller up at Brettsville High School, like the fact that he's already influenced hundreds of kids to like even take it at the high school level, and now they're pursuing it at the college level, and now they're going to be, he is like, it's amazing what he's done just to like fast track these kids through a sports turf program. And some are just going right out of high school into careers in the turf industry because they've done 4 years worth of education in high school. I wish there was more of it.
Definitely. And, he's a great example of somebody who I think, his branding is definitely been like a strategic thought out process, in the sense that, he has to come up with a curriculum every year for a board of, people that are funding the program and everything. And so kind of the branding, I'm sure, with being active on social and having the podcast, that all came naturally in order to have the program thrive. But would you say that yours was, something that was strategic, or more of like an organic effort when you just wanted to naturally share the things that you were working on?
It started out pretty just organic. I was just posting what was going on day to day. And as you know, the only thing turf people love more than talking about turf is tweeting about it.
Yeah.
So I took to Twitter and it just kind of caught fire a little bit just because people, this industry is so tight knit and everybody kind of starts to know everybody via social media, which is awesome. But then it's also like throwing out ideas between each other. And then slowly you become friends with people you've never even met, just by following what they're doing on social media. So it's just kind of me just seeing what other people were doing and then me showing what I was doing. Now it's a little bit more strategic. It's a little bit more planned out, and I guess it's still what I'm doing day to day, but it's just a little different.
Well, yeah, now you have like a practice and you know what kind of things resonate, what kind of things, will make an impact. So yeah, logistically, like, what decisions went behind, because there's different ways to go about it in the sense that you have a personal profile, or at least your name is what's associated with the content that you put out there. Was there thought behind that opposed to maybe doing it for like the Reno Aces crew, or what kind of logistically went behind that decision?
It kind of just happened because it was my personal Twitter. It is my personal Twitter, not past tense. It is. And that's just what built up faster. I think it was more personal because it's my face and you see a human behind the profile picture and the person tweeting all these things. And I feel like I thought about switching it to just Reno Aces Grounds Crew, and but I had already built up a following of my own, and then it just felt more personal that like people recognized my profile when it pops up on their feed, on their timeline. And that's what just kind of stuck.
Well, and I think that it's also just a reflection of like what people enjoy in the turf industry is that, yeah, we love all of the content that has to do with what's going on in the field, but we also love like the network and the friendships that are built. And when it's attached to a personal person, and like you said, it made it more human, I think people have more opportunity to relate or feel more inclined to reach out or like engage with the content. So there's definitely, pluses and minuses in both directions.
Absolutely.
And, just as far as with your experience, like, how has this branding benefited your career and yours in your own words?
I think it makes it more, I don't know what the word is. Your job feels like your job, but when you're showing the world it, and a lot of people don't even know that sports field management exists and that that's even a job, it built my career by being intimate, I guess is the word, because you were getting a live look into my day-to-day career, and like I'm physically showing future employers what I'm capable of, and I'm showing my company what I do day to day. I'm not just like sitting on the mower going back and forth all day. Like, here's everything that happened this week, and I put it into like a collage on TikTok, and then I posted, and my president's like, I had no idea that that's what was going on the field. Like, it's a live look into my day to day that most people don't see, and then it's a validation for all those things that I list on my resume. Here's a video of me tamping. Here's a video of me sodding. Here's a video of me, whatever. It's a digital resume, basically.
Yeah. And everyone that I've kind of talked to with this series, like that's exactly how they describe like their social media purpose, is that at the end of the day, it's a living, breathing resume for them. And, it's a great networking tool, everything like that. But yeah, like you said, here are the physical videos of me actually doing what I claim to do, that validation. So I love that it can be a tool like that. And, you're definitely someone who is a pioneer in the TikTok world for turf. So, we have a lot of activity on Twitter, but I think you and a gentleman named Cooper Gully, I don't know if you've seen any of his stuff, but you are like the only two that I know that are consistently That at the beginning we're like consistently utilizing TikTok for turf purposes. There's a lot of T's in there.
Yeah.
And I think that content is even more engaging than a photo, obviously. And so what really goes behind like making those? Because I know I try and just make TikToks for myself, like of montages of my kid, and it is a lot of work. Like it's
A
not
lot.
it's not easy. So like tell us a little bit about how that plays a role into what you're doing.
Well, it started off as just like it was the thing during the pandemic in
Yeah.
2020 when we're all like bored and locked in our houses. Well, I wasn't. I was actually still going to work every day and part-time, and then part-time I was just scrolling through TikTok, and decided like I got nothing to lose. No one cares. I have all of like my mom follow me or something. Like I didn't who cares? Like if it pops up on someone's feed and they think it's cool, like cool, but if not, like I really didn't care. And then it just kind of took off because it's so interesting when it comes up on a random person's feed who's sitting in their freaking house in 2020 just bored out of their mind, and they see this video of slow mowing a mow or tamping or something like that, and they're like, that's actually really cool.
Mm-hmm.
And it just kind of set fire from there. But it is a lot of work. TikTok took me a little bit to figure out. Even as a millennial, it was there's a lot of there's still a lot that I have no idea how to use. I figure it out every time I make a video. I find something new. But I enjoy it because when it's all put together, it looks so cool. It makes you look way cooler than I actually am. That's for sure. But I enjoy it. I like doing it when I have time.
Yeah, I love that. And I think the first one that I came across of yours was of your renovation crew. And it was that TikTok sound that was like, oh, the crew I thought I was getting. And then there was like this chaotic music. And it was like, this is what we actually got. And I think that was the first one I saw. And I was like, okay, that's worth a follow for sure.
The renovation crew was awesome. And we time lapsed obviously the entire renovation pretty much every single day. We had a time lapse for 4 weeks. So I've montaged all those together, and you could see like all the hard work we were doing every day from basically the same spot. And that was cool. But what you didn't see was like all the behind the scenes stuff that we were actually doing. And I think that's what's super relatable is like everyone's like really impressed, obviously, that you got a brand new field and you did all this work in a short amount of time. But what was like the personal aspect of it, and like everybody knows when you do a big project like that, you're working long hours with the same people for 4 straight weeks. Like you might as well have fun with it. And we certainly had fun with it.
I love that. And like just the putting that kind of content out just creates a visibility for our industry that's, it's what makes it unique. Anybody you ask why they love their job, I like being outside, I like sports, things like that. But it always comes back to like the camaraderie that you have in this industry, whether it be with your vendors or whether it be with your crew. It's like something that it isn't like replicated in other industries. So to kind of create content that shows that camaraderie, it like definitely is what we want to get out to those young kids. Like, hey, you could literally, like, you have so much fun on the job. Like, it's like working with all your friends. Like, what better way to kind of advocate for the industry?
Absolutely. I mean, I made another one this spring, and it was basically Max, my assistant, and like our shenanigans all of last year, and us just playing with the cat and hanging out as like a recruitment tool. And I posted it on everything, and I had people reach out from the college and high school kids in Reno being like, I want to work on the crew. I just literally, I think the caption on the bottom was just now hiring for 2022 season or something. And I have people like DMing me and like putting comments like, how do you get into this? I want to work here, blah, blah, blah. And it's just showing like, yes, we work really hard. Like you can see in all my other videos, like this is all the crap we do every day, but also here's what goes on while we do all that crap, and it makes it fun and it makes it worth it. And I think that helps a lot.
Definitely. I mean, just that like takeaway is huge, especially with the obvious like issues we're having in the industry with labor shortage. Just the fact that, highlighting a different side of the job can get people interested is enough of a takeaway for someone to maybe try and replicate in the same sense. And
That's my
and
goal.
that really leads into my next question of like, why do you think this type of visibility really matters for groundskeepers and for like the industry as a whole?
Like me, who just stumbled upon
Yeah.
sports turf, and many others. Like I'm sure every groundskeeper you talk to has a similar story where they saw something on TV of a groundskeeper mowing and they thought that was cool, or they were majoring in something else and they switched over because they honestly had no idea that it was an option.
Yeah.
And I really want kids to know that it's an option. There's a lot of universities that still have really good programs. There's a lot of universities that had to start folding programs because attendance was so low, but it's because nobody knows that that's an option. And I know, like, every time I tell somebody like that's what my degree is in, it's the same reaction everybody freaking gets. It's like,
Yeah.
that's a thing. And
Yeah.
you're like, yeah, it's a thing. Just nobody knew. So my goal with all the TikTok, all the Twitter, all the whatever is just so that people know
Mm-hmm.
and get those kids that are like, how do I become a groundskeeper? Every single one of my videos on TikTok has a comment that says, how do I get this job?
Wow.
How did you come into this? Like, I can post hundreds of pictures of screenshots of that same exact comment on all of the videos because it's just a visibility thing. And I'm trying to make it more visible. And guys like Ryan Nagy in Seattle who post videos and pictures too, and all the younger groundskeepers coming up now are trying to make it more visible so that we can start to close that labor shortage and that gap. Try to get, you don't even have to have a degree. Like most of my comments back are, reach out to a local minor league team or your park and rec district and go work there for a summer and see if you like it.
Yeah.
And most 10 out of 10 times they love it. And they're like, how do I get to learn more about this? And then they start looking into how do they get a degree. Maybe it's just a 2-year online at Ohio State or Michigan State. They all have good online programs. Like, it's easier than you think. You just have to like get it out there that it exists.
Yeah. And like to that point, you're having all these people reach out and it's like, we can't expect as an industry to allow, people like you and Drew Miller and Ryan Nagy to respond to every single comment and direct every person that is interested to the right place. So it's like, we need more people in their communities doing this so that you're right. Like if somebody at the high school or the local college reaches out, it's like, hey, you could come to our field tomorrow and take a tour or something and see this in person. And really, if we have an advocate or an influencer kind of in every part of the world that is, sending this message, then we can connect them so quickly with the people that, their interest is piqued. And then it's like, we can take it one step further. So that really like, if somebody is watching this video or they're reading material on how to get started, like where would you suggest they start on day one if they want to start branding themselves or branding their crew, just in efforts to, really close this gap, like you said, and get more people involved in this industry?
My focus has always started off being like posting for other groundskeepers, and it's now turned for posting to get new groundskeepers. It's posting how-tos and it's showing what you're doing day to day, but in simple terms. And I think that's huge. I think if you want to start, don't overwhelm yourself and feel like you have to post the huge montage of everything you've ever done in your whole life. Just post a video of the edger going around the back arc or something simple just to get it out there. And people are interested. People love to know what they don't know. Like the general public has zero idea what we do day to day. Or the most famous question ever is how you get stripes in the field. Like show them, like people are interested. People want to know. It's super simple. Just plop a phone down and take a time lapse of you mowing one day and post it and see what happens. It's going to be crazy. You're going to not know what to do with all those responses.
That's an incredible point that like, I think a lot of us, when we take to turf Twitter, it's like, we may be reluctant to share something that seems so remedial because it's like, oh, you want, to engage with the big wigs in the industry in a sense. But that's such a great point that like, we really want to be reaching the people that don't know anything about it and want to be, see something simple and say, oh, wow, like I could do that. Like, and how do I learn more on how to do that? So that's a great point that, yeah, I didn't even consider to this point, is that we may just be posting the wrong type of content, especially when it comes to, labor issues.
Well, when you start posting about X, Y, and Z fungicide, or we're using 14, 21, 21 today, blah, blah, blah. It's like, those numbers don't mean a lot to most people. I know most of your followers understand that, or it's interesting, but that's like shop talk that you can talk about with somebody on the phone. Like when I call up the Sacramento head groundskeeper and I'm like, hey, what did you put out this spring? And like, that's a conversation we have. But then for me to just post a picture of Max spreading it, like that's interesting to everybody.
Yeah.
Like you're including everybody. Don't exclude the people that don't know. And I feel like a lot of the older professionals just want to be a professional and share what they're doing with exact terms and stuff. It's like, don't overcomplicate it. We're just growing grass. That's all we're doing.
I love that. And somebody that, I don't know if you follow him, but Brian Hall out of like the Transylvania area, I believe, he's like always, I think his content is so digestible. Like he's just posting like the funny aspects of the job. I think he posted this morning, like somebody must like ran over their field, like their soccer goal, or like the wind took it over. He didn't explain, but it was like enough of a shocking image on your timeline that you're like, oh my gosh. Like some groundskeepers may be like, oh, I do not want people to know that that's what's going on today. Like total chaos, but it was enough to like pique my interest. And, he's done enough of those things where now he's like, someone imprinted in my mind as, a leader and an advocate for sure.
That's all it takes. It's literally the most remedial, stupid stuff that you don't think anybody's interested in is what people are interested in. That's all I've learned. Now, I don't know a whole lot, but I know that it's way simpler than you think it is.
I love that. Well, is there anything else I didn't touch on that, really plays a role in all of this? Is there any negative side to any part of this, or, anything that I didn't touch on?
The only thing is, I always ask approval before I post anything, because not a lot of people want to be on the internet. People don't want their face out there. My assistant, all of his stuff is private. Like he's not a big social media guy. He doesn't post a lot. And so every time I take a video of him doing something, I ask, I'm like, do you want me to, like, I can keep your face out of it and just have your legs in it, or you just don't be in it at all. Like, I don't want anybody to ever feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So anytime that you're posting anything other than yourself and like your family or your friends, and make sure you have approval, because some people have a more private life and they want to keep it that way. And I totally 100% respect that. I don't ever want to put anybody in an uncomfortable position to get comments that they don't want, or have their face be all over TikTok and have 175,000 people see it. Like, there's some of those videos have a few views on them, and I don't want, if they don't want their face in it, to be uncomfortable. So always ask for approval before you do anything like that.
Of course. Well, perfect. This has been so insightful. And again, I appreciate you joining us in the early hours of the morning to talk about this. And like I said, you'll have all the final green lights on everything we post.
Perfect.
We're giving you that approval as well.
Hey, got it.